everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Cayley and I am a reseller of used clothing. I sell on multiple different platforms, but I would say that my main platform is eBay, and today I wanted to come on and talk to you about feedback. So I just recently surpassed 1,000 positive feedback in my eBay store, so that's what kind of prompted this video. Currently, I am sitting at 100% positive feedback, but I may have just jinxed myself by making this video. I've been getting a lot of questions from fellow resellers, basically asking if I reach out to buyers for feedback, how I maintain positive feedback, how I get feedback, how much feedback should you have. All those questions I'm going to answer today. So as far as if I think feedback is important, I do think that feedback is very important. One of the first things that I do when I'm looking at an item to purchase on a site like eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, even Amazon, I always go and look at reviews first to see if this is a product worth buying and if it's a seller worth buying from. Feedback really lets the buyers know whether you are an honest seller, if you're going to get the product that you described, etc. So feedback is very important, especially as an eBay seller. It can make or break your business. I personally do not reach out for feedback to buyers. I've never done that. I think by doing that, you are inviting people to leave you less than positive feedback. And so I just let my feedback come organically, and so far, so good. That's within the past 12 months. I have 100% positive feedback. I have received one negative and one neutral in the past. So don't be discouraged if you do get negative feedback. You know, it happens. It's not going to make or break your business. What is going to make or break your business is if you continuously get negative feedback. So after 12 months, a rolling 12 months, that feedback should fall off. So before reselling, I worked in retail management, and we had surveys galore for the different departments and stores that I worked in that basically rated us for our service, our product, our personalities, you name it. We got rated on that, and that was the main focus of our business. Every single morning, we would look to see if our customers were happy with the service we were providing. So I have extensive knowledge in receiving feedback and getting feedback from customers. Now, in my previous job, I had to go out and get feedback and really encourage it from people. On eBay, like I said, I don't do that. I let it come organically. And what I have learned about feedback from previous jobs and being a reseller is people are more likely to leave you feedback if they have an outstanding experience, something out of the ordinary, something that they weren't expecting. And that goes in both directions, leaving positive and negative feedback. I feel like people are way too busy to bother to leave you feedback, and most of the time that is why every single person is not leaving you feedback. They probably just don't have the time. It's a busy world. There's a lot of things going on right now. Probably their last thing on their minds is to leave you feedback. So in order to capture organic feedback, you basically have to provide an out of ordinary experience. And like I said, that could be a good or a bad experience. Statistics show that people that have a bad experience are way more likely to leave you feedback than people that have a good experience, because they weren't expecting to get bad service. They were expecting to get good or above. So with that in mind, it's really important that you give your buyers a good experience. When I scroll through all of my feedback, one of the things that keeps popping up in my feedback that I notice is that people think I am a really, really fast shipper. Now, I offer 1 business day handling time, so it shouldn't come as a surprise, I suppose, that I am a fast shipper. But people aren't expecting that. Not every seller on eBay, in fact, I'd say majority, do not offer a quick shipping service. So even though I offer it and it's in the listing, it's an out of ordinary experience for the buyer, because majority of the time when they're purchasing something, not only on eBay, but on other sites, like basically if they go anywhere except Amazon, they're not gonna get a shipping notification that same day or the next day. Usually they're having to wait a few days. So that is one out of ordinary experience that I provide my buyers, which is why I think I receive consistent positive feedback. I also get a lot about item as described or that it was better than expected. So another way I try to impress my buyers in order to get positive feedback is by making sure the listing is really clear on what I'm selling, and oftentimes I will undersell a product versus overselling. I never want to say that an item is in perfect condition when it might have a couple flaws, or you can definitely tell that it's been used. So if you have to decide, make sure that you undersell an item versus overselling it, underpromise and overdeliver. Something else that I do that I think makes a big difference in eBay is my packaging. Now, I don't do anything extremely costly, but I do make sure when I'm packing an item that it is well protected from weather. So all of my clothing items, before they go into a poly bag or they go into a box, this would include shoes, they all go into a clear plastic bag to protect in case the item gets rained on, snowed on, basically anything, stains, anything that could spill on it. I also leave a thank you card, and I don't think that that's 100% necessary, but I do think that it helps in my positive feedback. So my card says thank you, and on the back it also gives them the link to my eBay store so that they can hold on to that card if they want to come back and become a repeat shopper, so that they'll always remember the name of my store. I feel like that extra thank you card creates a connection with my buyers and lets them hold on to something so that they can find me more easily if they want to repurchase from me. And it may also be a reminder for them as maybe they set it on a counter or they put it on their fridge or in their bag, and they keep coming over that and seeing that item. It might remind them to come back on eBay and shop with me. It may also remind them to leave me feedback. So it's not just enough to try to get positive feedback, you also have to try to prevent negative feedback. And one of the ways that I do that is if a buyer has an issue and they come to me first, I do everything in my power to make it right with the customer, and I never explode, I never get upset with the customer. And if I feel like I'm about to get upset with them, because let's be honest, we all get asked some pretty dumb questions sometimes, or we feel like somebody is trying to scam us, if I feel like I am starting to elevate and starting to get an attitude basically, I won't answer that question for a few hours. I'll let it sit there, because usually if I wait a few hours, then my tempers calm down and I can see things more clearly to answer more professionally. So these would be things like if I thought somebody's trying to scam me, if they send me a really low offer, or if they ask a question that is clearly already in the description. If I feel myself starting to get irritated, I'll wait and then I'll come back and answer that more professionally. And most of the times you can turn a buyer around and prevent negative feedback, and also sometimes make a sale. Now, if I've already shipped an item to a buyer, they've already purchased something from me and they're unhappy with the item, I always try to make it right with the customer, whether that is a refund or a return. Now, this is going to be obviously different for your business because you may or may not allow returns, but I do currently allow returns, and I think that that really helps with my positive feedback, because buyers just feel like it's less of a hassle to return something. They don't feel like they need to fight with you if they're unhappy with the item. So I do allow returns. In the past, I have made a few mistakes, nothing major and definitely not often, but there have been times where maybe a buyer's purchased something and I can't find the item. I'm always super professional. I always make sure to apologize, and I never put the blame on the buyer. And I think that that makes the biggest difference in preventing negative feedback. Some other situations that I've come across is I've shipped the buyer the wrong item, and all you can do is, again, apologize. Don't put the blame on the buyer. Say that it was your mistake and offer a solution. In all of these situations where I have messed up, I think what makes the biggest difference on whether I am going to end up with a happy buyer or a frustrated buyer is I always respond quickly. unless obviously I'm upset, but usually I'm not, and I can respond quickly. I feel like if they come at you and they say that there's something wrong with the item and then you're not answering them right away, then they resort to having to go through eBay to start a case with you. So as soon as a buyer has a problem, if you're able to handle it in the moment, I think that that makes a huge, huge difference. So I think I've also talked about this before, but when I am addressing buyers, I always talk in a professional, kind of like an email letter format, where I will have a greeting, my paragraph where I answer all their questions. I try to always speak in full sentences, and then I always end with a thank you and then my name. I always include my name in messages because I feel like it creates a personal connection with my buyer. I've also gotten the question whether you should leave feedback for your buyers or not, and everybody is different, but what I like to do is I just have automatic positive feedback set up where when somebody leaves me positive feedback, I automatically leave them positive feedback, and it's basically hands off for me. Every buyer gets the same message when they leave me positive feedback, and I don't really have to mess with it. I personally, if they haven't left me positive feedback, then I do not leave them feedback yet unless it's been over 30 days. I've mentioned this in another video, but the reason that I do that is because if a buyer did have a bad experience, I don't want to remind them of that bad experience by leaving them feedback and prompting them to go and leave me negative feedback. So I usually wait till after 30 days because I feel like 30 days is a long enough period of time where it's cool, it's chill. I feel like they were happy with the product and I'm not reminding them of anything that happened with the item where they might want to return it or leave me negative feedback. So that's just personally how I do it. That's it for my little chit chat today. I just wanted to come on and talk about feedback. I've been getting a lot of questions. So I hope this video was helpful. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what your best tip is for getting positive feedback. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.